and it's spherical. Spherical!
When Drake and Josh premiered on Nickelodeon in early 2004, it was an instant hit. Coming off the success of The Amanda Show, Drake Bell and Josh Peck had already built a strong comedic dynamic. The first season, however, was only 6 episodes, served more of like a proof of concept, like a pilot season, more than a full-fledged series. It had to do a lot with the family and Drake and Josh getting used to being stepbrothers, being super opposed when it comes to personality traits, Drake being this really cool guy who cares about his reputation, and Josh being a babbling neurotic that's essentially moved in with his stepbrother. Despite the small episode count, the show quickly found its audience and Nickelodeon saw its potential, so that's why season 2 actually had a lot bigger of an order. Instead of 6 episodes, now they have 14, a new intro sequence, and subtle production changes. The show was officially hitting its stride. This is the season where Drake and Josh became the show the fans remember best, introducing more recurring characters, refining its comedic tone, and solidifying its status as a Nickelodeon classic. But despite all that, the season also carries a strange legacy upon later seasons, which are widely available on streaming services and digital platforms. Nearly like half of season 2 seemingly vanished. I don't know if you guys saw my videos recently. It's kind of hard when I posted them every day, but out of the 14 episodes, 6 are missing from the official releases, making them some of the hardest to find episodes in Nickelodeon history. And it's not like that with Zoe 101, Ned's Declassified. It's not even like that with The Amanda Show. Why are these things happening? So when we dive into the complete second season of Drake and Josh, that's one of the mysteries we can uncover, along with reflecting on some of the wackiest, best, and strange moments. This season we get a lot of surprises. We meet Helen, we get to see the premiere. Everything that makes Drake and Josh comes to life in this season. I had a lot of fun experiences finding all these missing episodes. Now let's take a trip back to 2004 and uncover why season 2 of Drake and Josh became one of the most controversial seasons in Nickelodeon history. But let's dive in. The premiere of season 2 Drake and Josh started with episode 1, The Bet.
Gonna get ya!
Jump the mushroom.
I'll jump the mushroom when it's mushroom jumping time!
So Drake has an addiction to junk food and Josh is addicted to video games. It lands them into trouble when they both forget to bring Megan home on a rainy day. Oh my god, poor Megan, this is child abuse.
Hello!
Oh yeah, this is for you.
So they're both grounded by Audrey. They both make a bet to see who can live without their addictions, attacking each other, saying that one can do better than the other.
Food is a necessity. Video games have no value. Video games teach hand-eye coordination, which is why I now have cat-like reflexes.
The loser will dye their hair pink, and Megan helps them come up with a contract, which is a really fun gimmick. After a few days, temptation starts to take over Drake.
I can't eat you now, but don't worry. We'll be together again soon.
And he gets a facial rash from his sudden change in diet.
I normally advise my patients to stay away from junk food, but in light of your face, I suggest that you eat some, perhaps a doodle cake.
And is told that he actually needs to be eating more junk food in order to get rid of it, but he just doesn't want that. He cares too much about the bet to lose. Meanwhile, Josh actually gets a gift from his grandmother. It's the Game Sphere, obviously a parody of the GameCube. And so he can't play video games, Drake can't eat candy, and everybody is miserable.
Oh man, I gotta plug this in.
Good, because the second you do, you lose the bet.
Drake and Josh are ready to cave when Megan convinces them both to try and make the other crack first.
That's good. That's really good.
You have to sabotage Josh.
So Josh turns their room into a candy paradise with his own Willy Wonka-like jacket, and it has like cotton candy pillows, and this cannot be sanitary.
How did you do all this? Shh. Don't ask. Just enjoy.
Meanwhile, Drake actually tries to play Josh's Game Sphere right in front of him, also trying to get him to crack. Both cave at the same moment as they're about to physically alter each other.
You cave! No, you cave first! You always cave! You
Megan reveals that it does not matter who came first because they both lost, and because of this, both Audrey and Walter apparently lose their bets. Yeah, apparently they had bets on Drake and Josh deciding who they thought would win, so everybody has to dye their hair pink.
Sign the contract. You have to honor a commitment.
However, everybody leaves the house, and Drake takes off the hair, revealing that it was a wig and he didn't actually commit to it. Oh my god, Drake, come on.
Few weeks, months.
School's gonna be rough.
Oh, yeah. Idiots.
The second episode in season 2 is called Guitar. It's announced on the radio that the band Zero Gravity is coming to the town, and they're going to have call-in tickets, so the first caller would be able to win the tickets. Drake obviously wants to do this, so he takes it to the classroom. I don't know how he's so able to interrupt the teacher here, but he just blatantly lies to the class and says he's gonna have a party.
So this Friday night, I'm having a history party.
Awesome!
So just be at my house around 8 o'clock and we'll party it up. Oh, and you have to bring your cell phones.
It's so funny how they portray Drake with technology, like he just keeps it in his hand and is staring at it the whole time. I don't know if that's what we actually did during physical class. And who is this teacher? Where's Miss Hafer? We still haven't had any recognizable teachers yet.
Excuse me, everyone. Can I have your attention, please?
Drake, I'm teaching.
And you're doing a great job.
This show took a long time to develop because a lot of the normal everyday assets of Drake and Josh, I still haven't seen a lot of yet. So finally when he has this party and everybody realizes that he just wanted to use them to win this competition. Of course, guys.
I promise that later we can what? We can watch Yermo eat bugs, right, Yermo?
If it'll make me more popular.
It's so funny to think that Drake is so popular to a point where if he had an entire party just for his own selfish deeds and he was found out immediately, he would just be able to continue being popular. But Drake is just able to come across as desperate, not worry about it, and every episode before and after this, he is the well-liked one. What?
Tell us your name, lucky caller.
Megan Parker.
Megan!
They find out that Megan is actually the caller. Drake and Josh run downstairs and Drake makes a bet that he'll do everything for Megan for the next week if she gives him the tickets.
Okay, fine, I'll do your homework. Now give it.
So Megan gives him the phone, and there's a question about the planets, which I don't know if Pluto's a controversy here. Maybe that's why they took it off Paramount Plus. But Drake remembers this song that Josh's teacher taught him, and they win. I forgot about this song.
And Neptune! Neptune, it's Neptune!
You are correct.
I'm correct! Yeah, you are! It's all Mercury! And Venus! It's on the Earth!
Finally, Drake got the new guitar, and he's showing Josh. It's so funny because he idolizes it so much that he's like, do not take your eyes off of it. Josh doesn't know what to talk about with the guitar, which is hilarious.
How's it going? I'm Josh. You like music?
Meanwhile, Walter is trying to get to know Drake a little bit more because Audrey mentioned that they don't really bond super well.
Why are you waiting outside the bathroom?
I'm bonding with Drake.
Later, Megan asks Josh to see the new guitar, leading him to turning on the amp and actually setting it on fire. Oh, come on, Megan, you knew what you were doing.
That is a special guitar.
She set him up for this. So Megan is just hanging out while Josh freaks out about what to do. How's he gonna hide the guitar? The fact that he was raving about it so heavily in the scene before this just makes it even more stressful. Josh comes up with the idea to throw it in the guitar case and lock it.
It's locked. Yes! Some people care about safety. Just calm down and give me the key. What for? For to open the lock. Why are you acting all freakish? Dude, I lost the key, bro.
I'm like, this is not a good defense, Josh. So later, Josh and Megan go to the store to try to buy a new guitar and replace the old one. He doesn't really know how to buy guitars, and Josh is really funny in this situation. Later, Walter is forcing Drake to have a good time with him, and it is more awkward than ever. Drake has a talk with him and ends up just faking their bond to make Audrey feel better, and that's enough for both of them.
Maybe you should ask your new girlfriend to go bowling with you and your friends.
That's perfect.
Thanks, Dad.
Later at the Zero Gravity concert, Josh tries to get the guitar to the lead singer and get the signature so Drake will never notice he took the guitar. But the guy thinks he's crazy because obviously he's rambling at him, and Drake even walks in on the conversation, overhearing the whole thing, and Josh is embarrassed, but Drake says that he actually really likes that he did that for him. Aw, so it's a sweet moment. I wonder if it was taken off Paramount Plus, with Drake and Josh being too nice to each other. Fans would have been suspicious, so of course they could not air it. While they're talking to the guy, Josh slams down the guitar case on the lead singer's hand.
What? Are you hurt? Yeah! Where are you hurt? Is it your hand?
Yes!
Oh, I'm sorry. How many fingers am I holding up?
I don't care!
Oh, get me a doctor! Somebody get me a doctor!
So he can't even go on anymore. Not only that, I guess he's rewarded for it because the band's manager wants to put Drake in instead of him, which would be super awesome, and obviously Drake's a good guitar player, so this is a big moment for him, and of course Josh helped it happen. In the end, Drake actually goes on stage and is super excited. The next day, the band manager even shows up to give him the check. Oh my god, he got paid. Dude, how old is he? He didn't have to sign a form or anything. They were just able to throw him on stage like that? I guess they did that back in the 2000s. Drake and Josh have another sweet moment, and Drake gives Josh the entire check in repayment for helping him with the guitar. Aw, what a sweet episode. We end with Megan taking away Drake's chips, and that's the end. This one is really fun because it's finally, the intentions of the characters are driven by something positive, like Josh not wanting to let down Drake, and Drake repaying Josh for something that he feels like they worked together to have. So when looking this up, I couldn't find the reason that this wasn't on Paramount Plus. Like, there's no like controversial themes on like some of the other episodes, or like moments that I think would constitute, you know, like hiding this episode completely. I think Megan is super adorable in this episode, and it does such a good job at establishing the bond between Drake and Josh in a more positive light, giving them an obstacle that both of them care deeply to solve. Some of the jokes are just hilarious, including the ones with Walter trying to bond with Drake and it coming across so unnatural. The show is so down to earth in such a weird way that I forgot about, especially in the earlier seasons, less put together. The side characters even have funny lines whenever they come up. Maybe the pee jokes where Drake is trying to go to the bathroom and Walter's trying to talk to him. Like, I can't imagine what thing would come across as too inappropriate. But overall, I definitely give this one of the better Drake and Josh episodes in general. It is classic, it has comedy, sticks to the premise of being stepbrothers trying to get along. Like, it's a good one. This is really good. Next, we have the infamous movie job episode. Finally, a reason for Josh to be working at the theater. Let's get into it.
The movie slamming, the sound system bumping, the popcorn, dare I say, popping.
So Josh gets a job at the Premiere Movie Theater after making Crazy Steve. Ooh, Jerry Trainor's finally in it.
This little lemonade being a teeny bit unbalanced.
I had the fruit punch.
Josh enjoys this new job and starts to buy a lot of things with his new paychecks, and finally things are going well for Josh, which is not usual at all.
My boss Helen's looking for a new assistant manager. If I get that job, I trade in this red vest for a shiny gold vest.
That would be so special.
This inspires Drake to get a job at the premiere as well. However, the manager, Helen, who is Yvette Nicole Brown, as you guys may know from Community or, you know, this show.
Don't get your hopes up. She's really tough, and it's not like she just hands out jobs.
Hey, Helen, can I have a job?
Sure, start tomorrow.
Starts giving Drake more credit for his work despite his laziness, and Josh is completely annoyed.
Did you just sell those little girls tickets to a PG-13 movie?
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. Those 4 kids, they're Norwegian.
What?
It means they're from Norway.
Drake's favoritism completely takes over, and he's rewarded for everything he does, with Josh even being demoted, and Drake promoted to assistant manager within, like, so quickly. That can't be possible. Josh tries to get Helen to notice him more by coming up with a promotion to sell more popcorn.
If you happen to find a golden ball in your popcorn, you will win free movies for a month. Now, if everyone will please form an orderly line, I would be happy to give you all the...
but this actually causes a massive brawl among the customers. Josh is prepared to tell Helen the incident was his fault, but Drake ends up coming through for him and takes the blame himself.
I'm the one that came up with the golden ball idea. Totally my fault.
No!
Yes.
Oh, Drake, say it's not so.
I'm afraid it's so.
No!
My fault, Helen.
Oh, Drake, I'm shocked.
Feeling that the job actually meant more to Josh than him, and Helen reluctantly fires him, and she is so sad about it. I mean, come on, Helen, this is not fair. Like, you can't treat Josh like that. Can you imagine having a boss that pays favoritism that much? It's not fair.
It's not gonna put mustard on itself.
Next we have football. So Drake calls Josh uncool after Josh humiliates him in front of a girl.
Say the magic word. Say it. You know you want to say it. Come on, say the magic word, please.
Sasha Kazam.
He encourages him to try out for the school football team to become cool. Josh makes the team and is the equipment manager. With Drake is like, okay, Josh, this is still uncool.
I get to be on the team, and nobody snacks on my ankles.
So Josh finds himself having to play a crucial game after the brownies he made for the team makes the entire team ill. But really, it's Megan's fault for putting dirt into the brownies, which is disgusting. Megan, you cannot be doing that.
Your vomit brownies got us into this, and you're playing center tomorrow night.
Yes. No.
Josh does not want to play against the toughest team in the state because he's just not ready for it. So Drake sneaks in the school janitor, who is a former pro player and lost his memory as a result of the accident. And this guy is super funny because every time he's seen on stage, he just has less and less memory, and it's just so funny.
Yeah, I'll do it. For $10,000.
Deal. What? Where are we gonna get $10,000? Oh, he's not gonna remember. What if he does?
Hey, who are you kids? And what are you doing in my chocolate factory?
So he goes in replacing Josh, and everybody thinks it's Josh. Kind of reminds me of the episode where Josh played guitar on stage, but it was really Drake behind him. I feel bad for Josh. Like, they think he's so not good at everything that they have to have somebody step in for him all the time, and he's smart. Like, he is a smart guy. Why can't he just be himself?
Shower.
But then the janitor gets injured in the game, regaining his memory, and forces Josh to go in and play.
Hey, you guys owe me $10,000.
Josh ends up scoring the winning touchdown, even though it's not really on purpose, and Drake finally admits that Josh is cool. Aw, that's another nice episode.
Joshua Kazam.
So it seems like this season is all about Drake and Josh actually coming closer together, which is a lot less likely than what happened in the first season. The first season was more about them just completely getting on each other's nerves, being forced in multiple scenarios together, but now we're getting to a point where they're actually building their brotherly bond, their relationship, and making sacrifices to keep each other in each other's lives, which is really nice. Next is Pool Shark.
Him.
No. You said we could pick your partner.
So Drake discovers that Josh is actually really talented at pool, so he takes advantage of this and uses him to hustle people behind Josh's back. He learns the strategy from Megan, of course, when she pretends to be bad at darts and steals $20 from him.
Cash, please.
No way. You just hustled me.
No, I didn't. I just pretended to be bad so that you'd bet me, and then I stopped being bad and I took your money.
That's hustling.
There's a word for it? Cool.
Craig and Eric make their first appearance in this, and Drake tells them a really sad story on why they need to win.
You see, the thing is, Eric's mom, she's not well.
What's wrong with her?
It's her tongue.
So that way, when they lose to Craig and Eric, other people think that they're easy to win against. It's so funny he made up this story about how his mom's like losing his tongue, which is like, why would that be so tragic? They make such an effective first appearance here. I'm so excited to see them again because they become such a staple of Drake and Josh.
I've never won anything before in my life!
And Josh becomes way too good at this, where everybody at the premiere starts to resent them. With Josh working there, you'd think they'd say something to his face. Josh eventually finds out and vows to never play pool again, feeling that he's like dirty because of this. And it's really funny watching him deny his affiliation with it. And it's clear Drake does not care about Josh's feelings because he immediately asks him to do it again. He begs him to do it.
Will you play pool with me? Oh my. It's beautiful. This is so unexpected.
And Drake is even like, no, I'm gonna keep hustling more people. Why would I not do that? Josh rejects him once again, and that's the end of that. Meanwhile, Walter's trying to find the perfect gift for Audrey for her birthday. Turns out Audrey buys the exact same bracelet that Walter was intending on gifting to Audrey, and so he asks Drake and Josh to go and buy a new present for her.
Go out and get something else, will ya? Here, something good.
Like what?
Oh, I don't know. Get her some toothpaste. She's always using toothpaste.
Dad, there's $200 here.
Well, get her some mouthwash too. I'm just a man.
So on the way to getting the birthday gift, they pass a pool hall in which Drake asks one more time and Josh gives in. They show up to this really scary, dingy bar, which I don't know how they're allowed in. And Josh is like ready to hustle them with no awareness of how obvious he's being about it.
Damn, first time playing the pools. Not too good, and it's hard to shoot with all this money in my pocket.
Josh, seriously, don't overdo it. You boys looking for a game?
No, sir. Yeah, we are.
He starts getting into it more than Drake, almost trying to pick fights with Bard patrons just to get back to hustling again. He challenges them to a game of pool, and they get more and more intimidating, leaving Drake scared as heck. And he doesn't even want to win at this point. He just wants to survive. Just to raise the stakes so much higher, they bet the parents money. Once they win, the guys found out that they hustled them, and they corner Drake and Josh into the wall, only to reveal that Josh actually knows these guys, and this was just to teach Drake a lesson about hustling people. I don't know how Josh became buddy-buddy with all these 30-year-old men. I don't know where this could have happened, but it turns out the guy is actually wearing the perfect necklace for Audrey. He gives it to them, and everything is resolved. The end. This one's really fun because it puts Josh and Drake's dynamic in a really serious situation, unlike the normal episodes where it's just about social issues. All the stuff they're doing is actually leading to a big threat. And I remember watching this as a kid and being like, oh no. Especially since as a kid you think of ways you could shortcut life, and at least this episode is telling you that there's always consequences for your actions when you take advantage of people. That's a really good lesson. For episode 6, we have Smart Girl.
You know the closet in the hall?
The hall closet?
That's the one.
So at the premiere, while Josh is at work, Drake takes a liking to a girl named Michelle. Josh claims that there's no way he's gonna get her interested in him because she's smart, which I would be kind of insulted.
Maybe I got a little more game than you think. Hey, it's for a good cause.
The idea that you can't date within your brain class means that I definitely would never have been on a date ever. But Drake is determined. Candy on the floor on purpose for her to help him pick him up. It actually works, and Drake is managing to smooth talk Michelle. He tries to ask her out for pizza, but apparently she has academic team practice.
I love grammar jokes.
Oh, yeah, me too. I too. Me also.
I guess I never realized how stupid Drake was until this specific scene. It's not even like this girl is acting like she's smart, it's just Drake is acting so dumb. I feel like it gets worse for him over the series, though. Later, Megan plays a prank on Josh where she puts whipped cream on his face. Josh is so fed up with the way Megan treats him, which I would be too. Can you imagine living in a house where you become the butt of somebody's pranks all the time?
I will get my revenge.
Yeah, nice speech. But just remember, Josh, I'm always one step ahead of you. One step ahead.
Josh vows to get revenge on her, which good luck, Josh. Drake announces that he's going to accidentally run into Michelle again, which is stalkerish. Drake, if you really wanted to form a relationship with this person, I don't think you should be so manipulative. Ugh, but it works. He pretends he walked out of the same movie as her and tries to talk to her about it, but obviously he can't.
Did you see the same movie I saw?
Oh yeah, Beautiful Mucus?
Bountiful Music?
She agrees to go out with him and says she wants to explore his mind.
She wants to explore your mind? So how long do you think it'll last? Like 45 seconds?
Drake's paranoid because, of course, when she starts to talk to him, she's gonna realize how dumb he is. So he's determined to figure out a way he can appear smart. While Josh is trying to prank Megan, filling the hallway closet with a bunch of laundry. Meanwhile, she gives him a fake ice pop that explodes in his hand. Always one step ahead.
Yeah, like I'd ever give you the last ice pop.
Josh decides to help Drake and actually teach him as much as he can in order to impress Michelle. Drake is a terrible student, which is not surprising, and keeps distracting Josh.
See, no way, that's awesome. I know. You see, learning can be really great.
Dude, Trevor got another pet cobra. He's gonna make them fight each other.
This is like the perfect representation of these guys' dynamics. Like, Josh is essentially like a substitute teacher and Drake is a resentful student. Josh realizes he could teach Drake through guitar, which actually helps him learn the information, which is awesome. Oh my gosh, I wish they did this in real school. So Drake goes on the date and still doesn't have a lot of information to work off of, so he keeps finding excuses to go ask Josh questions she's asking him. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? That is the rudest date ever.
What do I like about him?
Oh, there's so many things. His use of social satire.
Thanks. Social satire.
So Drake thinks they're about to kiss. Turns out she's asking him to join the academic team. See, if this were a real sitcom, this girl would be really religious, and Drake would be trying to fake a religion to get to know her, because that's the only thing I could see translating to an adult life. So yeah, Drake's freaking out, because not only is he going to be embarrassed in front of her, but the whole school if he does this academic thing. He insists that Josh help him through the competition, but Josh is like, there's no way.
I wear a really big coat.
What? Sorry, Lucy. Ethel ain't playing.
Josh, meanwhile, is trying to throw a water balloon of goo at Megan, and she gets to him first. Once again. Drake finds a bug in their room to find out how Megan is getting away with her pranks. Turns out she's listening to everything they're saying.
It's a bug. Killing us.
Drake gets an idea that maybe they can use this device for Josh to give Drake the answers during the mathalon. Poor Josh never defeating Megan, like this is so sad. So Josh is waiting in the broom closet and is feeling terrible because Drake has asked him to go against his own morals.
I helped you when you got your foot caught in the toilet.
No, you didn't. You laughed and took digital pictures.
It's funny that he's not like willing to do this. Like the defiance throughout this makes it even more exciting. And it turns out the guidance counselor from Victorious is the MC of the academic bowl, which is awesome.
2364? I'm sorry, but that year hasn't happened yet.
Josh manages to help Drake look better and better, answering all the questions right until they start getting radio feedback from a nearby fast food joint. This aggravates not only the team, the host, but the entire crowd as Drake yells out nonsense. But this is definitely one of the funniest parts in the show. It does remind me of when Josh was trying to impress a girl and Drake had to go behind him and play guitar. But clearly Drake being in this situation is a lot funnier. Craig and Eric make a return and they are so funny. I love how like intense they are about the academic bowl. Like you would expect that, but it's funnier.
We've been talking and we would appreciate it if
you could just keep your big bazoo shut.
Later, the team actually asks Drake to stop answering questions because of how much he's embarrassing them. But when they get another question that nobody knows the answer to, Drake answers and wins them the game, causing everybody to be super excited, except for Drake, because he is not completely heartless. Michelle to the broom closet to explain everything he did and how embarrassed he is, and she's just impressed that he was trying to impress her. Which is like, you're not gonna tell the judge? Later, Drake and Josh reconvene and talk about how they're going to eventually get Megan back, but they end up glued to the chairs, so good luck, guys. And yeah, so that was Smart Girl. It's funny that this is called Smart Girl and that a later episode's called Mean Teacher. It seemed like they were just giving the most basic titles to the episodes. But this one is really fun because I like seeing Drake's attempt to impress a girl. Like, that's not usual for him. Usually he could just get any girl. And thank God this was one of the episodes that are not banned. I mean, I can't imagine why they would ban this one, but I guess I couldn't imagine it with the rest either. Okay, so this one in reviewing, I definitely see why it didn't need to be on Paramount Plus. Maybe because it's about this little girl passing out, and not even the same actress is playing Helen in this episode. Like, there's a lot of ways this could be seen inappropriate in the public eye. So I'm kind of glad they don't have this on Paramount Plus, although I do think it's a good episode. You know, no more chit-chatting, let's dive in. Season 2, Episode 7, Little Diva. So Helen informs Drake and Josh that a superstar is going to be coming to the premiere.
I can't tell you, it's top secret hush-hush business. Gotta keep it on the down low. We are having a real Hollywood premiere right here in this theater.
Helen's telling them about the after party, which Drake really wants to go to, and Josh is assigned to escort and protect this little girl around the premiere, which is weird because she has a bodyguard named Citrus, and isn't that his job? But I guess Helen just wants to accommodate her. The next day, Drake and Megan show up to Josh's work, claiming to look for the little girl. When she enters, Josh is more excited than them. We think she's humble at first, but then she starts bossing around Josh immediately, with her bodyguard even intimidating him when he gets it wrong.
I asked for room temperature. This water is chilled. Are you trying to kill me?
And she is a stereotypical snobby kid.
If you mess this up, I will thump you like a melon. You follow me?
Yes, ma'am. Like a melon.
Later back at the house, Drake is asking about getting into the after party, but Josh is exhausted for tending to this little diva's really specific requests.
She doesn't like the green gummy bears, so I had to take those out. Then she suggested I do some sit-ups.
That's ridiculous.
I know.
Who doesn't like green gummy bears?
And Drake is just so selfish, he does not even care about Josh's well-being in this situation. The next day, Drake is badgering Josh still, as this little child is dictating the entire premiere. Helen is making sure Josh abides by every one of her whims.
If I'm gonna be helping you out, I think we should lay some ground rules.
Dance.
What?
Dance.
I don't wanna dance.
Citrus.
Dancing!
This is how he got the visual gags this episode for sure. So now he's working for her full time, even delivering a fridge? Why did she have this as a request? Later, the little girl goes to hang out with Megan at the house, and she starts bossing him around off the clock. Oof, this girl has got charisma.
Wow. Look at that. 7 seconds have already gone by, and still no soy latte.
Look, Ashley, I don't know who you think you are,
I
but...
think I'm Ashley Blake.
And this is one of the most infamous scenes. Megan and this girl set a bucket on top of the boy's door to knock them out, but instead accidentally dropped the bucket on the little girl's head. And they blame Drake and Josh anyway. This is like one of the most iconic lines from this show. Like, it was just so funny back then and such a meme.
She was reaching for a bucket on top of your door, and it fell and it hit her head.
Man, jeez. Why was your bucket on top of our door?
Why was your door under my bucket?
The doctor from the episode before confirms that they hit her with the bucket, and they keep that on the record, which is so not fair.
Perhaps you should have thought of that before you hit her in the head with a bucket.
Wait, we didn't hit her in that.
Listen to the doctor, Josh. No more hitting little girls in the head with buckets.
Drake and Josh start freaking out because obviously they can't have the premiere without the star of the movie, and they are going to be in deep trouble. Until Drake comes up with the clever but obvious idea to Weekend at Bernie's her, use her passed out body to appear like she is still awake. This girl could be dead for all they know. Oh wait, no, a doctor just came. I don't think that's the truth.
It's Helen. She's gonna want to talk to her.
Oh, the garbage can. Here, hold it.
So they have to hide it from Helen, which is not actually Helen. This is another actress that it's weird that they replaced her. And Drake and Josh have to go through the entire event making it look like natural that this girl is awake. And it is horrible. Like, there is no way this comes across as real. And right when they think they're out of the clear, the premiere guards expect her to answer a Q&A. So Drake and Josh insist on going with her to the podium and answering the questions for her.
You two gentlemen don't need to stay here.
Yeah, we do.
She's a pescatarian.
All right. The press may now ask questions.
Ashley?
But obviously everybody gets frustrated and the facade becomes a lot harder to keep up. Finally, they get through it and throw her back into a trash can. Oh my god, these kids. Later, they pull her out and give her to Citrus, who puts her back in the trash can, and they leave her there. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I could see why they left this off Paramount Plus. This one specifically, having the little girl passed out the whole time, having the guys take care of her, but not a lot of the parental supervision coming into play. Like, this is a bad look for a kids network. And some of the jokes are funny, but I definitely think it's safe to put this one aside. It's not worth the risk. Although the bucket joke is exactly the redeeming quality for this entire episode. I wish they just rewrote it or at least re-edited it to take out some of the more ridiculous issues. Otherwise, it was a good Drake and Josh episode, but it definitely doesn't hold up with the culture of what we have today. It's not a terrible episode, but I definitely see why Nickelodeon doesn't want to publicly put it out there. Although I do wish there was like a section of that set aside for us. Like, these are really fun episodes, and I want to still be able to see them now. But let's move on to the next one.
For Season 2, Episode 8, we have Blues Brothers. Josh comes in all excited because he is chosen to be the weatherman alongside his father on TV. Megan is like, why didn't he ask me? And starts to build a vendetta against him for it.
I'm gonna talk to Dad about this.
Meanwhile, Drake is signing up for the talent show. Him and his band are going to perform, and this fangirl keeps coming up to him and saying all the details of his concert to prove she's the #1 fan, and it's very stalker territory.
Do I know you?
No. I love you. Bye.
And Drake dismisses it like impressed somehow.
It's gotta be fun being you. Yeah.
Then a guy named Hewitt and his a cappella boy group come up to threaten Drake, saying there is no way he is going to beat them. They show off by singing their a cappella version of Silent Night, which is not impressive, but I guess they're worried about it.
Sleep in heavenly peace.
And the stakes are raised. Meanwhile, Josh gets stuck in the window trying to put something up, and Drake has to help him. And it's one of these moments that, like, Josh's physical comedy is just so funny. He's, like, so committed to it. Apparently, he's going to be on in 2 hours and wants to get a feel for the weather, which, if you're on in 2 hours, Josh, I don't think you should be chilling at home. He practices in front of the mirror, and it's so funny.
Today's forecast. Today's forecast.
Megan comes in and actually warns him that he could be embarrassing himself in front of so many people, and obviously gets into his head. This is probably one of the first moments we really see Megan's personality shine and actually really affect the brothers' plot, which is a shame that this episode cannot be found anywhere else. Finally, Josh shows up on the TV show next to his father, and he looks like a nut. He's doing a great job at first with Audrey and Megan and Drake watching them on TV, and suddenly Megan's voice comes into his head and makes him extremely nervous.
High pressure.
You make one mistake, and millions of people see it.
He begins twitching on television, and it is hilarious. He takes off his jacket and has pit stains everywhere, so this just gets kicked up another notch. Honestly, if I were a viewer, I would think that he was having a seizure on television. It's so weird that everybody's acting so casual around Josh about this. Like, does anybody want to help him? Drake and his band are prepping for the talent show, and Helen and the fangirl. Helen gets so impressed by Drake doing the most minimal of all activities, which is super funny, while Josh is embarrassed to be seen in public. They meet behind a trash can. He reveals he's super embarrassed to be seen in public, which Drake is like, that's crazy, nobody cares, and then this happens.
You leave this boy alone. Isn't it bad enough that he humiliated and degraded himself on the television?
Thank you, Helen.
Drake tries to get Josh a pep talk, but he's so focused on the battle of the bands that he doesn't really think about it. As we finally get to the talent show, it kind of reminds me of the iCarly episode where they're trying out weird talents for kids in the pilot. I don't know why, it just gives me that vibe. But they're hosting this talent show at the premiere, which I never really thought about. And things take a turn for the worse when Drake realizes that this a cappella group stole the theme song of Drake and Josh.
It's gonna take some time to realize.
I mean, obviously they don't call it that, they just call it his song, but still, it's the theme song. Josh goes backstage because he is too embarrassed to be there. But Drake, needing to go out really soon, Drake needs to come up with a plan. Josh, who's too embarrassed, is about to leave when Drake has to convince him the Blues Brothers tribute.
You're gonna sing Soul Man with me. What is this, Twitch-a-palooza? You know what happens to me when I get up in front of people. Yeah, and it's gonna keep happening if you don't get over it now. No, Drake, I can't.
Josh says no to this. Until he shows off on stage. He surprises Drake by showing up in the outfit and does a cartwheel across the stage. They go through with the whole tribute, and this is one of the most iconic moments in the series, where Josh is surprisingly too good at dancing at some parts and really bad at others. And for some reason, they have an 8-piece band for this. Drake, you would have won, I feel like, at this point. The music number goes on for really long, which is not usual for Nickelodeon because they don't usually have musical numbers, so they don't really know how to do it correctly. It restores Josh's confidence, makes the a cappella group disappointed, and they win. This almost feels like an exact replica of the eventual dance competition they have in Drake and Josh. Remember one of the last episodes where Drake and Josh have to work as a team to beat this other couple? Yeah, that's kind of what this feels like. Overall, I don't know why this didn't make it. Maybe because of the Blues Brothers tribute, maybe they only had like a certain amount of time to air this episode, but it's become such a staple of the Drake and Josh series. When I look back on my memories, I do remember this specific episode so vividly. And to think that I can't just find it on Paramount Plus is kind of a shame. Do you guys even remember this one? Like when you saw this, were you like, oh, of course this one exists? Because this to me feels like a lost episode. I haven't even seen clips from this in years. Overall, this is the biggest tragedy in the entire group of Forgotten Drake and Josh episodes.
I seriously doubt our driving test is gonna include stealing a bus and ramming dragons. Do you know that for sure?
So Drake and Josh are just hanging out in the room with Drake playing video games super loud. Turns out that they should be studying for their driving test that's coming up. They get into a big argument, and I forgot how immature these guys were. When they get home from school, they find out that Walter's trying to help the boys learn how to drive. He has this whole stop sign set up in the living room and a hula hoop as a driver's wheel. Like, this bit is so funny.
Good driver is always prepared for the unexpected.
Yeah, I know. I'm always telling Drake.
A little girl!
I get to see a lot of Walter for the first time, which I haven't really seen him be this funny, and I feel like this definitely solidifies me liking him. Megan pretends to be a little girl being struck by a car, which I do not know how that would help you learn how to drive.
Nice going, Josh. You ran over your sister.
I get to run over her next.
Drake does not take this seriously at all, but Josh does. Later, when it's actually time to take the test, Drake gets somebody really pleasant and polite, and Josh gets a really bitter old woman who hates teenagers. With every interaction, Josh and this old woman just seem to butt heads at every corner, and Drake and his driving instructor really hit it off, and she's like really into this, which is really uncomfortable.
Let me just put up your window. Do you want me to rub it?
You expect Drake to get his license and Josh not to, but it turns out to be the opposite. Josh gets his license and Drake doesn't, which is not fair because this woman clearly did not warn him of the issues of his driving. She like only fed into it, which is really not cool.
You want to fry?
Gotta keep my hands on the wheel.
No problem.
But it's funny to hear all the reasons he didn't get his license. He needs to have it for the Drake and Josh Go Hollywood movie, but I guess that's not talked about yet. Megan rubs it in his face that he cannot drive, which is super funny. And Josh is living life on the edge, driving everywhere. Drake is bitter that Josh has to drive him places when Josh actually gets pulled over. Walter warns the boys earlier that if they ever get a ticket, their license is going to be taken away from them by the parents. So when the cop comes, Josh tries every trick in the book to not appear suspicious, and he looks worse.
Oh, my heart! Oh, the bacon! I think I'm having an episode!
Give this to him when he stops faking that heart attack.
Will do.
Later, he's freaking out, and Drake offers to pay the ticket for him in exchange for taking him on rides whenever he wants. And Josh is like, wow, that sounds like a great deal. Let's do it.
Really? Actually, I wouldn't mind going to get the Zero Gravity CD. Drive me to the mall? No prob. To the Josh-mobile. Dude, you gotta stop saying that.
So later, Josh finds himself waiting around for Drake, taking him everywhere you would imagine. And Drake just uses him for his personal gains, which is not a surprise at all. Drake holds this over his head, even waking Josh up in the middle of the night to go get tacos, which of course he doesn't want to do.
I'm not driving to the night on some Mexican adventure. Okay, I just thought that a corn shell full of beef and cheese would be a small reward for, I don't know, helping you keep your driver's license.
Josh stands up for himself and says that he's not going to just drive him around everywhere, and he could tell Walter about the ticket and stop holding this over his head. Later, Gavin comes by with a giant shovel, asking Josh questions about work, which is this his first episode? He's even waiting around as he goes on his dates. Everything gets kicked up even more when Drake asks Josh to chauffeur his date, insists on calling him Chives, and makes him wear a suit. So this is taken to the next level, as Josh just sits in the car and waits for Drake and his date.
Chives, do I need to have a talk with Father about the ticket you received? Yeah, you do.
Eventually he gets so fed up and the two start arguing, leaving Josh to sit in the passenger seat and said, "Go ahead, Drake, why don't you drive?" Second he gets in the driver's seat, the cop comes again. And it's the same cop, and for some reason he doesn't recognize the boys. Josh tries to be against Drake, but it turns out to be his issue because since he's the one with the license, he's responsible for Drake being behind the wheel. And the episode ends on them fighting.
You're going to have to give me 2 tickets.
What for?
One for the faulty taillight, and one for this!
The first episode that really ends on a really dark note, and like we never see anything resolved, which is fair because it's like I do want to see the funniest parts, and this is definitely it. The next episode we have, I'm so sad I forgot about because this was such a fan favorite at the time. It's called Number One Fan, and it's featuring the all-famous Alyson Stoner, who played similar characters at the time.
Cool guitar.
Who are you?
I'm Wendy. Well, my real name's Melissa, but I hate the name Melissa, so people call me Wendy.
She tells Drake that she is his #1 fan, and it is her dream for him to play a song for just her. She asks for an autograph, and Drake gives a Frankie Muniz from Josh's desk, and she essentially is pretty unapologetic about taking it. Meanwhile, there's this whole through line of Josh being in charge of the Girl Scouts. It apparently belonged to Walter, but since the kids are being so crazy, Josh needs to take it over.
All right, listen up, children. I am your new Campfire Kids chief.
You're our new chief? Seriously?
That's right.
I'm out.
I don't think you're supposed to fight fire with fire, guys. So while they're all on a field trip to the movie theater, which is not very Girl Scout-like, Wendy notices that Drake is on a date. She's skeptical and begins to question the girl.
So, Larissa, what's your favorite song of Drake's?
I didn't know Drake wrote songs. I'd love to hear some.
I bet you would.
Only making Drake visibly uncomfortable. She shows up later at his house and gives both Drake and Josh gifts of Drake passed out in a shirt format.
Why are my eyes closed?
Oh, I took it while you were sleeping.
Right.
And this is one of my favorite jokes when she gives Josh the giant sweatshirt. Like, that's so rude to have assumed his size like that. I don't know why, it's just funny to me.
Is this for me or a sport utility vehicle?
Drake's getting ready because apparently this is his first radio appearance, so he's about to play guitar on this radio show. Wendy takes advantage of this too and decides to promote it by putting flyers all around Drake's school. Oh my gosh, how embarrassing is this? So Drake actually has to set a boundary, tell her what's going on, and that he will never care for her. Okay, wait, maybe he's taking this a little too far.
I'm not gonna sing a song for you, and I'm not your boyfriend. I'm not even your friend. So just leave me alone.
During the radio show, Drake is nervous and guilty about what he said to the girl. He takes out a note in his pocket that is his pic that he gave her earlier, saying that she's super sorry for everything she did. And obviously Drake is very sentimental and realizes that this is a big deal.
It's a woman, isn't it?
Kind of. Little woman.
Go to her.
Go to her?
Fix it.
It comes with a really awkward conversation with another artist, telling him to run back to whoever this girl is.
I'm disappointed in you for not braving the outdoors during a gentle rain shower. However,
meanwhile, Josh is being tricked into a tent and locked up so the Girl Scouts could listen to Drake's radio performance. Wendy obviously doesn't want to because her and Drake now have beef, but it turns out Drake returns home. He ditched the radio appearance because he felt so bad about the way he acted, and he even asks Wendy if she still wants that song.
For me?
Just for you.
But what about all that stuff you said? I thought you hated me.
How can I hate my #1 fan?
It's a very sweet episode to see Drake have a redeeming quality. It's not super often we get it, and while we understand that a stalker is a big deal, and that it's justified that Drake had to raise his voice to assert a boundary like that, I think we feel really bad for the girl and look up to Drake for doing something he didn't necessarily have to do.
What are you doing here?
How come you're not on the radio?
Because
Otherwise, #1 Fan is just such a good episode, and I'm really sad that this is one of the ones that is not on Paramount+. Alyson Stoner is a gift every time she's seen on these kids shows, probably because she does her one singular character so well, and I could watch it in a feature film if I had to. The side plot of Josh being in charge of the Girl Scouts is just so perfect for him, because while he's not in the main plot, he still plays an active role in the show.
Everyone gets one, and then we'll hold a rally. Get your scores, you little demons!
Overall, great episode, and reminds me of how sad it is that it's not available to everyone anymore. I like that we have the through line of Drake's radio appearance because it shows that he's still pursuing music. And of course, every Dan Schneider show has to have somebody pursuing some kind of art-like tactic. It can't just be two brothers going through life like it was in the License episode. It has to be musically intertwined. So the next episode is called Mean Teacher. It's kind of a Drake versus Mrs. Hafer episode. This is one of her first episodes, and she is such a funny character, almost as funny as Helen, but since she hates Drake, she's not as excitingly... She's not as fun. I don't think she's as funny. Her extremely blunt deliverance of all of her lines only make her even more exciting to see in this show. So Josh comes into the classroom wearing the ugliest t-shirt. Turns out to be one of the luckiest t-shirts of all time. Meanwhile, Drake is complaining that he has to have another date with Kelly, who is this girl he's been seeing that has a really obnoxious laugh. Wow, Drake, real mature. As they get started on class, Miss Hafer is really nice to Josh and rude to Drake.
Were originally written in what language, Drake?
Greek.
Wrong. Todd.
Greek?
Correct.
She has like absolutely no patience for him, and it's so funny. So later, Josh and Drake are at the premiere. Drake's just making fun of his sweatshirt, but Josh insists that it's really lucky. A couple nearby gets in an argument, and the guy gives him his watch, and the girl gives her, so Josh must be lucky. Kelly finally comes up to see Drake, and I think this is the closest thing he's had to a consistent relationship, being mentioned in one scene and showing up in another one. I mean, that's as much as Drake and a single girl that I've seen so far.
I had a pretty bad day, too.
What happened?
My hamster died.
We see what Drake means, and she tries to deliver information about somebody dying, and she still laughs. It's definite that Drake is gonna plan on breaking up with her soon. Meanwhile, Megan is shooting tomatoes at the wall with this giant contraption, but it manages to miss Josh at every corner. So I guess the lucky sweatshirt is really helping.
Darn it! I gotta go read the manual.
Aren't you gonna clean this up?
It's your room.
Drake is fed up with Kelly and decides that he needs to go break up with her right then and there. He shows up to her house, and who better to be at the door than Mrs. Hafer? This is like a great first appearance for this character, especially since she comes in so much more after this. That's probably why, because she did such a good job.
One of my mom's students?
If you use the term student loosely.
Miss Hafer ends up being even more mean the next day after he finds out she's dating Kelly.
Wrong, but you asked me what...
Wrong!
But what? Why
Was I talking to you?
Kinda.
Just in time for another student to give Josh his game sphere. This really solidifies Josh's interest in video games, which definitely gets lost after this season. I mean, I like that he's a full-rounded person and has his own hobbies, and I hate that we kind of lose that over time. Later, Miss Hafer calls Drake to have a conversation with him, in which she tells him that if he ever breaks her heart, she is going to fail him, and he will go to remedial English. Okay, Miss Hafer was funny, but now this is borderline abusive. Like, no teacher should be pulling you aside and treating you so rudely.
Summer school. 2 words. Even you understand. Do you understand?
Especially with no actual reason to back it up. Drake has a fantasy about marrying Kelly, and he is so disappointed. It's like he's never going to be able to break up with her now. Megan's pranks continue to fail as Josh keeps wearing his sweatshirt. Megan's pranks continue to fail. She even tries to hook up an electric chair, which wouldn't that literally kill Josh, Megan? That is so unsafe. Drake comes back distraught because he cannot break up with Kelly, and I would be too. Josh suggests that maybe he can get her to break up with him, but Drake doesn't think this is possible. Josh tells him to like eat with his hands, be gross.
So all you gotta do is act un-Jewish. I'm not Jewish.
So he does this. They go on a date, and he is extremely rude, sneezing into his food, and it is disgusting. Drake is so gross in this scene. I wish this episode was banned for his behavior at the dinner table. But it doesn't work. Every time he's disgusting, she one-ups it and just turns it into a laugh. Later, Drake is about to have given up because he cannot break up with this girl and he cannot get her to break up with him, until he realizes maybe if he wears that secret sweatshirt that Josh has,
you got video games, gold jewelry, a date with a model, your life's not that good.
His luck will help him get out of the relationship. The two obviously get in a fight over it and manage to rip Josh's lucky shirt. Later, Josh and Drake both wear half of the outfit and it looks atrocious, especially the fact they're on a double date. And it's clear that the sweatshirt does not work anymore. Josh is awkward and bubbling.
Because you're a model, so you're probably watching your figure. Not that you need to watch your figure. I mean, you have a great body.
And Kelly loves Drake still. The boys excuse themselves to fight once again and agree to wear the sweatshirt one at a time. Drake puts his on first, and Kelly breaks up with him immediately, so it works perfect. Now he can get out of the relationship, and Mrs. Haver will not hurt him, thank God.
You're gonna tell your mom that you dumped me, right?
Sure, I guess.
Great, you do that, bye.
Josh puts back on his sweatshirt, and his date kisses him. This is the best I've ever seen anything go for Josh. They see a movie, and that's the end of that. Later, we find out that Audrey threw away Josh's lucky sweatshirt, which of course Megan had to have had a part in.
It made a model kiss me!
The boys realize that maybe they should stop being superstitious and be grateful. But you know what, guys? It was lucky. There's no way. And yeah, another great episode. I love that we get to introduce more characters that will only further the comedy of this show. The superstition idea is always really funny in sitcoms, and I love seeing Drake and Josh tackling it, having Drake be completely defiant toward it until it benefits him, and then seeing Josh finally get his way. Like, it's a lot of fun in this episode where we get to see the characters heading out of their comfort zones.
Episode number 12 is the Gary Grill.
We start off at the premiere in this episode, and Josh is selling popcorn. Drake interrupts with no remorse for the people in line when he finds out that Josh is actually in cold water with Helen. Drake jumps behind the cashier and shows him how easy it is to upsell popcorn. He tells an old lady that she will live if she has it, which is borderline a threat, I believe.
The medical report that said popcorn helps the elderly not die.
Right. I do enjoy living.
But it works. Turns out the boys are actually really good at selling products. Two businessmen named Buddy and Guy approach them, complimenting them on their skills, saying that their charisma would work really well with a Gary Coleman grill. They offer them 20% per grill, and Drake is really bad at math. We didn't need to be reminded that.
$8,000 a grill! $8 a grill!
And they say they'll set him up with 100 grills. Josh and Drake are both excited by this idea. So Josh finds Audrey in the kitchen cooking. He tries to sell her a Gary Coleman grill with Drake's help, and the two have a very QVC way about them when they're trying to sell this product. I mean, I would buy it from them.
So it just cooks things.
No, it's also an MP3 player.
They sell the fact that not only is it a grill, but it can listen to music, which I am in 2025, where that is a lot more rare. I think at the time there were iPods, or I don't even know what people listened to at the time. Maybe if this grill hooked up to my shower, I would buy it. Oh wait, that would kill me.
Hey, why don't you buy 6?
'Cause I'm not an idiot.
Honey, look. I bought a Gary Coleman grill.
Great. Now we've got 7 of them.
These guys are definitely a part of a pyramid scheme. The more I see them interact with other people about what they're doing, it just is so schemy. It feels like an episode of Ed, Edd and Eddy. The next day, they're in school. Josh has his Gary Coleman grill on his desk with a spatula, which I get that it's here just to listen to music. One, it looks ridiculous, and two, you don't need a spatula just to listen to music. I don't know why he would put that in his backpack and then unload it on his desk.
So why don't you go out and buy one? You know I can't. I'm not available in America yet. Yeah, that's why I bought 100 from my friend in Japan.
Drake turns his entire interaction with Josh into an infomercial, and all the kids fall for it. Suddenly, everybody wants to buy the grill. So now it looks like Drake and Josh are rich, and it's just crazy what they're choosing to spend their money on. They have a Coke machine, they have workout stuff, which I don't remember ever seeing them work out. And then art for some reason? Like, why would the boys buy art? They apparently still have $1,000 left. I'm not sure what their concept of money is, but this is clearly like at least $10,000 worth of material in their house. And I don't know how, one, they bought it, two, they transported it there, and 3, what they're gonna do with it. But of course, teenagers with this much money is obviously this is the dream of what to spend it on. Megan comes in suspicious, saying she wants a piece of the action, but obviously the boys don't let it happen.
But just remember, I'm younger than you. One day, you'll both be old and sick. That's when you'll need me. But I'll be in Europe, laughing it up while the two of you are lying in bed, gagging on your own saliva.
Megan should be a poet. The way she uses her words are just vastly impressive. Drake and Josh are selling the Gary Coleman grills at the premiere and everybody wants one. It's fair to say that Drake and Josh have entered the 1%. They even get in a money fight in public, which could not be safe for their well-being. 2 other guys come to buy some grills. When they say they have badges, Drake doesn't understand what they mean, which...
Wait, you want all of them?
That's right.
Sorry, we only accept cash.
These are badges. Dude, cash only.
And these guys revealed that they are arresting Drake and Josh because apparently the grills are stolen and they're selling them. Ooh. So they're cuffed and taken away, which I don't know. I think they're minors. I don't know if this would affect them so much, but I'm concerned. And I would be at that age, I guess, so. They still don't have any answered questions, and they essentially have to get comfortable being behind bars. Josh starts freaking out with Drake telling him to be cool, but Josh just unapologetically insults everybody in the jail, and I would not want to be locked away with him.
Prison is for scum and lowlifes. Except for you guys. I'm sure you're all wonderful people.
The cops question them, and some of the best jokes are here.
Eyewitnesses say the thieves were 2 clean-cut Caucasian males. There you go. We're not Caucasian, we're white guys.
They tell them about how the Gary Coleman grills were stolen off of a truck, which leads them to believe it's them, which I don't understand why this is the case. How these guys are like 16 in this season. I don't know why they would categorize them with these adult criminals. Like, can you even put 16-year-olds in jail with adults like that? All police officers, please comment below. The cops confuse him so much and even get an accidental confession out of Josh.
Oh, leave me alone, I'm confused and sweaty.
And they start questioning him about the quality of the grill, which doesn't seem like a fair question from cops. Drake and Josh are given 1 phone call each. Drake tries to call Megan, who immediately hangs up, and then Josh also tries to call Megan. He stays on long enough to tell her that they're in jail, but she does not believe him. She just wants to talk about with ponies with Denise. Eventually, Megan is no help, and the boys are back alone in jail.
Megan. All yours.
So in the next scene, we see Megan approach the 2 guys from earlier, the criminals, Buddy and Guy, and says that she wants in on selling the grills. I'm really confused at why this is going down now. She insists that she could sell way better than the guys and even goes up to sell one of them to a woman.
My daddy makes me sleep in the backyard. Will you please buy one? I miss my bed. Oh, of course.
And claims child abuse if she doesn't buy this grill. The 2 men are impressed, but it turns out that this is just a secret ploy to get them to confess. Megan manages to get them to admit that they stole the grills, and the FBI guys walk in. See, I love how they didn't believe in Drake and Josh, but they finally believed a 10-year-old girl. And I also can't believe that Buddy and Guy were probably about to work with Megan on this. Like, can we reflect on that? They almost convinced a 10-year-old girl to be a part of a pyramid scheme.
Excuse me, are you this little girl's father?
Yes, I am.
How dare you make her sleep in the yard?
I wonder if these episodes are banned because of how adult themed they are. Like, these are borderline like adult sitcom situations that Drake and Josh are getting themselves in. Like, they've been to jail twice in this series, and they're only getting older, so I don't know where the show is gonna keep going from here. So Megan, Audrey, and Walter show up to the jail to release Drake and Josh. They're surprised to find out that Megan actually did this for them. It's a really sweet moment between brothers and sisters because Megan's never really done a lot of positive things for them. But this entire arc is resolved with her help, so that's kind of nice. The detectives introduce them to Gary Coleman. Ooh, this is embarrassing. They think he's gonna thank him, but he actually just demands that he has all the money back from the stolen grills.
You know, I know you didn't spend all my money, because if you did, I'd be really upset.
And Drake and Josh are obviously really embarrassed, so they throw him in prison and run away. Oh my gosh, they have to be able to go to jail for this. In the end, Gary Coleman takes everything they bought one by one, and they try to fight for it, but it does not work. And that is the end of the episode. The Gary Coleman Girl episode is one of the most popular episodes that I have not forgotten to this day. I forgot that most of the episode is them rotting in prison, and only a small portion of it is them just selling these girls, but all around a really good episode. I can only imagine that this is not being aired because of the fact that the Gary Coleman name is in the grill, it's the guy in the episode, and so much, like, why would you be able to, like, why would you pay so much money to keep this episode airing? I guess that's the only reason.
Sorry.
Happens.
Season 2, Episode 13 is called Drew and Jerry.
So Drake is watching Celebrities Underwater, some weird TV show in this Dan Schneider universe, and Josh just got the 2 tickets to see a magic show. Drake doesn't really want to spend time with him, so Josh says he's gonna find somebody else to go with him. Drake gives Josh a speech about why they shouldn't be spending so much time together, and oh my gosh, I would be heartbroken. So he says he's gonna go find somebody else. Look at Drake pushing a boundary. So Drake comes downstairs to see Josh already has a new friend, Drew. Drew is an exact replica of Drake.
Only 3. Yeah, I had an off night.
Not only repeating the antics him and Josh share, but also apparently he's a musician. The next morning, Drake wakes up Josh with a dog on his bed. I think this is his attempt to apologize without actually apologizing.
Whose dog is this? I don't know, I just found him rooting through the garbage outside.
So you let him lick my face?
And says that they're gonna go to the cheerleader practice. But Josh says he already has plans. Ooh, tough break. Now Drake's experiencing exactly what Josh went through. Him and Drew are going to a virtual reality ski trip, and Josh looks so funny in the ski outfit. Drake is so bored that he even sits next to Megan and asks to take her to the movies. The two don't know what to talk about, and they just sit there aimlessly. It's so funny watching Drake try to strike up a conversation with Megan, especially knowing he knows so little about her. Like, he doesn't even know her age.
He always gets a root beer and I get a Dr. Fizz, and then we mix them half and half.
Whoa, you two have some crazy times.
Yeah.
Megan admits that he's only spending time with him because of Josh, and he's jealous. Drake listens to this and actually considers it, but instead of going to apologize, he says he's gonna bring over a new friend. Oh my gosh, of course. So Drew's there with the family for family dinner, and he's replacing Drake at every chance he gets. Until Jerry comes in, an exact replica of Josh. He joins family dinner.
I'd like you to meet my new friend, Jerry. What's up, fellas? Lady fellas.
And one by one, Drake and Josh try to one-up each other through their new friends. These poor guys, they're just being used as pawns in Drake and Josh's little game. Whoever this actor playing Josh is doing way too good a job. Like, they only had a couple episodes out at this point. I don't know how he replicated him so well.
It's called a game pod. It's podular. Podular! I repeat things for emphasis. Emphasis!
Megan informs Josh that Drake's doing this all because he's jealous, giving him a little bit more insight into the situation, but it only makes him a little bit more sad about it. Josh even finds Jerry in his bed in his pajamas.
What, do you wear my underwear too? No, I don't wear underwear when I sleep. Okay, 3 words. Keep the pajamas!
This is one of my favorite jokes. So Drake keeps kicking it up a notch, trying to make Josh more and more jealous, just to compete with his own jealousy. The two get in a fight at the premiere, using both of these guys to prove to one another that they should be more jealous.
A boat. A big boat. With a motor.
They make a whole talent show at the premiere, essentially, and realize what they're doing to each other. Drake and Josh finally make up, and it's really sweet. They don't know what to do about Drew and Jerry because all they were to them were just pawns. But it doesn't matter because apparently they were just discovered by TV show producers that want to make a show out of their lives.
He thinks we'd be perfect for a TV show.
A comedy about 2 brothers.
We're gonna be on television! Television!
In the final scene, Drake and Josh watch the new Drew and Jerry show, and it's really, really meta, with them both ending at the scary thought of being on a TV show.
No, I'm sorry I got caught, and I'm definitely gonna do it some more. Stomach aches! You give me stomach aches!
So the season finale is one of the best episodes of the entire series. I'm so happy because I forgot this was even in this season. I don't know why I just thought it came later along.
Hey, that's Mrs. Haver's car. What's it doing in the classroom? Okay, somebody has pulled the greatest prank ever. But how did they do it?
So in this episode, Drake is wrongfully accused of pulling a prank on Miss Hafer. Her car is parked inside the classroom. What? How in the world did this even end up happening?
Kind of parked in our spots.
Then sit in the car.
Shotgun.
Even though it's like unexplainable, she suspends him for it.
Suspended.
Come on, you had
To the nurse.
So later at the house, Josh figures out that Drake has a right to stand in front of a trial of the school in order to prove his innocence.
We go to trial in 2 days. That's awesome. And I'm gonna defend you.
Oh, that's not awesome.
So Josh is like, okay, let me be your lawyer and I will help you defend yourself.
Once I prove Drake's innocence, he could take all 3 of you to the prom.
So they go to the whole council, and Mrs. Hafer is represented by Josh's archenemy, Mindy Crenshaw. So Mindy, this is her first appearance, and this is somebody that likes to one-up Josh at every occasion, and she even likes to remind him that in this episode.
2, 3, 4, I declare thumb war.
1, 2, 3, you lose.
Like, oh my thumb!
Like, they're so familiar with each other, and dynamic works so well that it feels as if they've been in this show this whole time. Like, I'm surprised this is Mindy's first episode. This is episode, I think, 29 of the overall first series, which means there's only like half a series left for her to even make an impact. Mindy interrogates Drake until he looks guilty through all of her evidence, and this is the funniest part. Like all of the drawings Drake did, he is like such a hard time defending them. Like, of course he can't do that.
And who is this jumping out of the airplane?
Mrs. Hafer.
And where's her parachute?
Didn't draw one.
Didn't draw one.
But there's a lake below, so clearly she would land safely in the water.
Really? Drake, what are these things in the water?
Later on, all seems lost, and they even interview Drake asking him what he's gonna do after he loses. And it's like, guys, come on, you're the students. Like, why would you not be against the teacher? Megan tells them, Megan ends up finding a little bit of dirt on Mindy. I don't know how she got this information, but she gives it to Drake and Josh, and Josh knows exactly what to do with it. So now, Josh's turn to interrogate Mindy. He asks her about the B she got from Mrs. Hafer's class, the only B she's ever got, as Josh kind of like nudges her on.
Because we happen to have a copy of your transcript and your grades. That's what transcript means.
She admits that she is the one who put the car in the classroom, and I kind of want to know how it happened. Mindy's suspended, and Drake is cleared of all charges. Miss Hafer uneasily has to apologize to Drake for accusing him of putting her car in the classroom. Drake accepts and appreciates the apology, even though she tells him she still hates him, which, come on, guys, you can't just be friends. I love this episode because of not only the humor, but all the characters that get to shine in it. The little bit where Megan's website is shown in this, especially since we all know iCarly came out later. Like, it's a nice little foreshadow.
He's allergic to cats.
But yeah, overall, this is like the best episode to end the entire season. It's the best episode of the show. I'm just super happy with this. Oof. And with all that, we come to a conclusion of all the episodes of season 2 of Drake and Josh. Whew. So yeah, that was season 2 of Drake and Josh in a nutshell. It's really cool how it went from being the 6-episode series that was not as funny and more of a family sitcom to this full ensemble show where we see Mindy, Miss Hafer, Helen, Craig and Eric. Like this is when the show really hits its stride. And I think seasons 3 and 4 have some really, really funny episodes and improve the show even further. But you can't not give credit to the season that really pushed itself to get to that point. This is one of the most important seasons in Drake and Josh. Whether it's the best, I don't know. The bottom of the list, at number 14, I put Guitar, because I just felt like there was a lot of episodes like it, and it wasn't really the funniest of its kind. It would be one thing if it was, like, super funny, but it felt like it was doing everything all the other episodes were doing, but, like, slightly worse. I mean, I love the part where they slam the guitar case on the artist's hand. There's just not a lot of promise in this episode. Like, the pacing feels a little more boring than the other episodes. And hey, maybe this is a part of me that's just angry, but there was a lot of copyright issues with uploading that video, so I'm a little biased. Okay, next we have 13, Football. So football is kind of similar, where it feels like the episode's more about Josh trying to be cool, which is a lot like the Blues Brothers episode. It's the 4th episode of the 2nd season, and also similar to Guitar. You could tell it's like before they hit their stride in this season. Like, I feel like we've had enough episodes about Josh that are better compared to this, but I put Guitar above it because I like the whole confused janitor bit. I don't know why, I think it was just fun. And it feels like the emotional moment at the end with Drake and Josh is a little bit forced, especially considering what we're used to on this show. It's before they finally, like, figured out their tone. And if I'm gonna take the show seriously, there's a lot of other stuff we have to kick into consideration. Oh, people are gonna get mad at this, but the next one, at number 12, I'm putting The Bet. So this is the one where Drake and Josh infamously bet each other that they can't go without one of their obsessions. Like, Josh has to give up video games and Drake has to give up candy. I think it's really cool how this episode was done. Like, not only do we see into the characters, we see into their relationships. Like, we get to learn a lot about these guys in just this episode. It's a great season 2 start, because it's the first episode of it, and I definitely think I put it above Football and Guitar because it feels like it's a little bit before we got the funniest jokes together, but it's a little bit better than those ones. The beginning of this season is a little bit rocky. It's before Drake and Josh really found itself. I feel like because only having 6 episodes in the first season, it's kind of hard to reestablish yourself and then also come up with a further identity, especially since it's episode like 7 of the whole series. I think they're starting to get on a better basis, although I think some season 1 episodes are better. That's why this is kind of lower on the list. Now, for episode 11, we have Movie Job. This is the one where Josh gets his job at the premiere. We get to see Helen, Drake's Helen's favorite. This one's just really funny about that. And out of all the episodes about the premiere, I feel like this is like the least memorable, which is very disappointing. Like, overall, I don't remember a lot of things that happened in this episode except for the fact that Spencer Shea was in it. Like, that's the only good thing. It's not like there's not funny jokes. It's just there's a little of nothing that happens, making this episode super forgettable for me. Like, if I saw all of the episodes in order without seeing this one, I definitely would be confused. I definitely wouldn't have noticed. And this is one of the episodes that wasn't even banned, so it's kind of an insult about it. Like, it almost feels like, why wasn't I good enough to be banned? So even though we need Josh to be working at the premiere in order to establish that, it feels kind of shoehorned in, and they just wanted him to have a job on the show. Yeah, if it wasn't for Jerry Trainer, it would definitely be 14 and not 11. Then we have episode 10, Diva. The reason this episode is better than the others is because there's such funny jokes in this one. And the fact that this little child star passes out and Drake and Josh need to help her, like, it's just such a funny premise for an episode, let alone even funnier with the jokes. And this girl's relationship with her bodyguard Citrus is so funny, as well as having a friendship with Megan too. Like, it's suddenly like Drake and Josh versus Megan, and then suddenly this girl's into the mix. It almost feels like she's gonna be a mainstay for a moment, but obviously this doesn't pan out. This is one of the first few episodes where the show really just starts to shine. Its absurdness is kicked up a notch, and it's not as grounded, but it's not too out there that it's like unbelievable. Actually, it kind of is now that I think about it. And I hate that this one was taken off streaming because it's like so unnecessary, but you know, nothing we can do. So episode 9, we have the Gary Grill episode. It's slightly more funny than Diva, and I love that Josh and Drake kind of bond at first, but then their relationship takes a quick turn when they're sent to prison. Like, it's fun seeing them closest they've ever been making money, and then the furthest they've ever been trying to survive at jail. Like, it's not a lot of episodes we see them getting along, and I like that we throw them in jail to have them not get along again. And the whole Gary Coleman concept is just really funny. It's like this old actor selling grills. Like, why would that be a thing? It's probably only at episode 9 because it's not a universal joke that, like, we know what a Gary grill would be. Not that that has to do with the quality of the episode. I just feel like it would be more universally funny if people knew. If you see this episode, it's definitely one of the best in the season. And to believe that I'm putting it already halfway on the list, like, this show has such good episodes in the season. I remember somebody recommended me to do a video on this one because somebody recommended it to me, and I forgot how funny this episode was. Now we have number 1 fan, episode 8. So this is a really good one because Drake's character development in this is just like, I don't know, it's really good. I think this is what really grounds the series as opposed to however it gets later in the show. Drake becomes like a stereotype of himself, but at least here we see like a lot of dynamic sides of him. Like, he's not only stupid. And seeing Josh like fight with the Girl Scouts is just really funny. The jokes in this episode are probably some of my favorite, with the giant shirt. Like, Alyson Stoner giving Josh the extra large shirt is probably the funniest part of this whole series. And I'm gonna stand by that. Of course, Alyson Stoner is super good, and I can't ignore that for points. I love the idea that she's like a super fan, and it's creepy leaving posters everywhere. Like, it gets kicked up a notch. It's not afraid to be outlandish with its humor and still kind of grounded. Then the next episode, Better Than That, is Smart Girl. So this is another Drake episode, but Josh is in it a little bit more than the last. This is why I put it above number 1 fan, because I feel like they get equal time in the plot. And while Josh doesn't feel like he resolves the plot too much, it's kind of funny how he goes about it and gets in Drake's way, despite the fact he's also helping him. And the whole spelling bee type thing is where we get to see Craig and Eric. So like, seeing their entrance is really good. It's really hard to compare it to the other ones. Like, while the title is generic and the plot is pretty basic for Drake and Josh, it's definitely one of its kind, and it leans into that. Being about something that happens at school that's more interesting than football. Like, Drake's relationship becomes the forefront of the episode, and not much more else. Next is episode 6, Mean Teacher. So this is the Miss Hafer debut episode. The reason why it's so high on the list, I feel like it does a great job at having Drake versus his teacher, and it's also kind of borderline sad. That's why it's like not lower on the list, because the teacher really abuses Drake. Like, that is not fair. So you almost empathize with him a lot more and see him more than just like a threat to Josh, which you've seen a lot in this episode. He usually plays the bad guy when Josh is the good guy, but at least it's a little more blurry as of this one. Everybody, let's stop Miss Hafer. Hashtag take down Hafer. No, I'm just kidding. Please don't do that. The episode titles in this are really dramatic. Smart Girl, Driver's License, The Bet. Like, it's just, oh my gosh. But it does do the whole Drake wanting to be in a relationship or having a relationship and maintaining it a little bit better than the last one, because it's a lot funnier. And the idea that he has to get out of the relationship is super funny. Like, Miss Hafer does not give him a break. And having him and Josh fight over this lucky sweatshirt, like, that is a really good premise. Like, the whole superstition hasn't been done yet in the show. It definitely gets the series closer to what it later becomes. And now we're down to the final 5 best episodes of season 2 of Drake and Josh. Are you guys buckled in? Let's go. So next we have Drew and Jerry. This one's infamous just because of its last on the culture. Like, everybody remembers the Drew and Jerry episode. The actors are so good at portraying Drake and Josh that it's almost like kind of disturbing. Like, how in the world did they get this much information? Like, at this point they were only like 7 or 8 episodes into the whole series, or I guess 10 to 15. And it's like, come on. My favorite joke is when Josh runs into Jerry in his pajamas in his bed. I don't know why. It just makes it feel like a better version of The Bet, where it's a Drake versus Josh episode, and I feel like the way it resolves itself gives a lot of character growth and is hilarious. Episode 4, we have Driver's License. So this one was really hard to find. I did not see a lot of this episode back when it came out, maybe because that's when the show started having a lot funnier episodes and wanted to start circulating those more. But now that I rewatched it, I really regret it. Like, this is such a funny episode. To see Drake and Josh going through the same process of getting their license and almost kind of butting heads, it's becoming more of a it becomes like more of a fight episode. Kind of like the Gary Grill episode, but the stakes are a little bit more dangerous for the two, given the fact that it's them driving. It does seem like a little mature for like a Nickelodeon kid show. This is probably before they had a lot more standards of like what a kid show constitutes. I don't think we've gotten a lot of driving episodes since, like probably Victorious, but otherwise this is like one of its kind. It just shows how weak the characters can get when it comes to each other, like how low Drake is willing to go to take advantage of Josh, like as a chauffeur. Like, I can't believe how rude that is. You can't just ask somebody to drive you around all day. Like, the cattiness is at a level 10 in this episode, so that's why I'm putting it above all the other ones. I feel like this is definitely one of the funniest episodes in the second season. Okay, now down to the last 3. So next is Pool Shark. It takes Drew and Jerry and the bet even funnier with Drake versus Josh again. I remember this episode so well because of the shock at the end. You know, like when you think the two bad guys are gonna actually hurt Drake and Josh because of their little partnership, like that part always stuck in my mind. So I needed to use that when I was choosing the top 3. Like, which of these episodes, despite loving them or not, do I remember the most? Like, sticks with me. And these top 3 are definitely episodes I can remember vividly, and that has to be good writing. This is definitely up there, especially since the guys like go to a bar in this. Like, what? You guys can't be here. It starts with Drake taking advantage of Josh and Josh actually getting revenge, which doesn't happen super often. It's not necessarily against them, it's more like Josh trying to teach Drake a lesson that we as the audience don't even know right away, which is kind of cool. And unlike the Drivers episode, they do a great job at getting them all together and making up at the end. Unlike the Drivers episode, they actually do a great job getting together at the end. In this one, they end with just fighting. Isn't that crazy? They do not make up at the end. And the number 2 is Blues Brothers. So this is one of the most iconic episodes. Not only is it funny, but it's a Josh episode, which we don't get to see too much of, at least done really well. It showcases the premiere, it showcases all the people in Drake and Josh's life better than it has before. And I feel like this is a turning point for the series. Like, everything after this point is just completely hilarious. And the show is just like on the perfect track. Now for number 1, we have Honor Council. Isn't that crazy? So like the first number 1 episode of the season is the last episode of the season. It feels like the entire second season needed to like kind of grow up. Like, it started out at a more clamshell version of itself, but as it became more absurd and the characters came out of their shells in more wacky ways, it felt like it started to become itself. In the meantime, I'm not sure if you noticed, but a lot of these episodes are very repetitive. It's either a Drake episode, a Josh episode, Josh versus Drake, Drake and Josh versus someone else. Like, there's not a lot of leeway. And it just got better and better. Like, it did really good for it. Something unique about Honor Council is, like, not only is it my favorite episode of the whole series, but it kind of takes a break from being both of those repetitive plots. I mean, it is like Josh and Drake together, but they do it in a new way and introduce Mindy, who is essentially like a villain. And to have a villain team up with Mrs. Hafer this early in the series, it just makes Drake and Josh have to be a lot closer together, which is super funny. The best part of this entire show is like when they're going through the whiteboard and Drake has to explain his drawings that he drew of Miss Hafer, kind of making it fair that Miss Hafer treats him that way a little bit, especially with how threatening he can be. And I'm a sucker for the funniest jokes when they have the drawings. But yeah, like the drawing with the alligator is so funny. So yeah, that's all the episodes of season 2 ranked from worst to best. And isn't it crazy that they're all so good? I can't even believe this. Like, it felt like even like the furthest best episode, it felt like even the least best episode was still a really good one. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but I purposely left out the cold opens from Drake and Josh. While I love these, they're not always tied into the plot. Now, as I did in my first season retrospective, I'm going to sum them up super quickly and put the best part of all of them into one quick compilation. And it's not going to be quick, so sit down.
We had this contest to see who could hold their breath longer. After 2 minutes,
I won.
I lost consciousness. Mustard. I like doing dishes.
I like sleeping,
breaking leaves,
playing guitar,
doing homework,
tricking Josh into doing my homework.
I like eating cheeses that much. I just like looking at them, sniffing them, feeling them.
Do you know that Josh sometimes feels cheese?
Drake, move to Australia! That's not even an Australian accent.
Yes, it is! Fromage!
That's French! And what does he do?
I handcuffed him to a tennis racket.
He handcuffed me to a tennis racket.
Josh and I were in the same room as the vice president.
I got to meet him.
I got to meet a 16-year-old granddaughter.
Sometimes things just don't always go the way you want them to.
Things just work out the way you want them to.
I'll be able to drive Megan to soccer practice.
I'll be able to back over Megan's bike in the driveway.
The club hit me in the eye, bruised my retina.
After I gave the kids these huge cups of coffee, oh man, you should have seen them on those go-karts. It was out of control.
And tails. Heads. Every time.
How cool is this thing?
All right, Megan, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, wait until we tell Mom what you did.
It's good being me.
Want to know what's been kind of bugging me lately about the whole Josh thing? We hang out together all the time.
Hey, is Drake telling you bad stuff?
Oh, vegetables? Uncool.
Drake?
Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Johnny 2000, and please support my retrospectives. It's hard for me to keep doing this when my retrospectives are like the least viewed, yet this apparently the most wanted throughout my channel. Thank you guys so much for your support, and I'm so grateful for you guys watching these videos. I can't wait to talk to you again next time.